Shiori mitzvah ma'akris apuranos. That not even an ikar mitzvah, but even sort of the shiraim of the mitzvah will prevent bad things. Shari tnufa, waving a lulav is shari mitzvah. You're kind of mitzvah without waving. It's like shiraim. Yet it prevents storms. These dinim that apply to Shnei Alechem apply to the lulav as well. Sort of shaking the lulav forward, like pointing the lulav in the eye of the sun. But v'lav milsi mishum dasi liguri, but it's not. We don't do it that way because the sun's going to get angry. He's going to punish us. Mishnah. Was Kenny Alter in shul? Maybe he's on vacation. No. Kenny's on vacation, maybe.
Yeah, he's out. Yeah,
he's out of town. Yeah,
he's out of town. Okay. Misha Baba Derek V'lai ben Lulav Lito. Person was traveling, comes home. He didn't have the lulav with him. The chashikan is the base of Yitol al Shulchan. If he forgot and he didn't shake before he sat down to eat, and he had started eating, Rashi said, he has to stop eating and shake the lulav. Another did. Lo not al shachris Yitol ben arbaim. If he didn't shake the lulav in the morning, he can do it in the afternoon. Shekol hayom kosher lulav. You can shake the lulav all day. Amrit noit lal shulchano l'meimer demafsik. It seems like the halacha is you should be mafsik your suda. V'reminu imischilu. He started eating and mafsik. This is by mincha as well. Here, that you have to daven mincha before you eat your lunch meal. Let's say the time comes for mincha. Well, let's say 12:30, plaga mincha comes. You didn't daven mincha. You should daven mincha lechatchila first. You didn't daven mincha. You started eating your lunch. In mischilu ein mafsik. We see by mincha you're not mafsik for mincha. How come by lulav we're mafsik if we started eating? So Amrav Safra loy kasha. Hadi ikashos b'yom. Hadi lekashos. It depends if you have time in the day to finish up. If you have time afterwards, you started your meal and there's still time to daven mincha, you can finish your meal. And if there's not enough time, you should, even for mincha, you should break. Amar Rava, my kushya. So Rava says, what do you mean? There's no kasha for mincha. You know why you break for lulav? Because dil mahada raisa had rabbana. Shaking the lulav is a mitzvah deraisa. Davening mincha is only midrabbana. So that's why maybe by lulav you're mafsik, by there you're not. And Amar Rava, ikasha akasha. Lichshikanas lebeso. We said before that he had been on a trip. He goes into his house and he started eating. Still, not la shulchan. You should stop eating and shake the lulav. Alma the mafsik. So that implies you're mafsik. But then the Mishnah continues, V'odar tani loy natal shachris. You didn't do it in the morning, Yitol ben arbaim. So you see, we don't tell you to stop what you're doing shachris. You wait, do it in the afternoon. Alma loy mafsik. That's the kasha. Am Rav Safra. Loy kasha hadei kashos payom. Adalei kashos payom. Depends. If there's time left in the day, you don't have to be mafsik shachris. If there's not enough time, you have to be mafsik. Or is there my kushya dilma mitzvah lavsuki? Maybe the mitzvah and a mufcha is to be mafsik in the morning if you ate, and the Eloi pasuk if you didn't. Yitol ben arbaim shekol yom kosher. That's a b'diavad dikid. Really, we're going to ask the kasha that is meaning between lulav and mincha. And ude kasha lach, you pointed out, maybe it's not a kasha because had the raisa had rabbanon, lulav is mitzvah the raisa, mincha is only rabbanon. No, because we're talking about B'yontav Sheni D'Rabbanan Askima. This debate is on the second day of Yontav, where lulav is also only Midrabbanan. Dekanami, Midikani Mish Babaderech, and you're the lulav. That's why we brought it. If you came on the road and on the road you didn't have a lulav, the Yisak Dabi Yontav Rishon Mishari. Because if we're talking about Yontav Rishon, you wouldn't be allowed to go B'derech Rechok on Yontav Rishon. It's clearly talking about Chol Hamoed when you can travel. Mishnah. Person doesn't know Hebrew, and he needs his eved or his wife or a child to read the words of Hebrew before him so he can follow. He repeats what they say, word for word. However, it's a klala. The fact that he's not Ma'aretz doesn't know this, how to read, he has to rely on his eved or his isha or his cotton, that's a bad thing. If he was a gadol, he didn't know how to read Hebrew. You read in front of him. And in that case, you don't have to repeat mila by mila. The gadol, see, an eved, isha, or cotton cannot be motzi somebody because they're not machuyev. So that's why the person has to repeat word for word what they say. But if the gadol is what is reading it, he just by listening is shemeh koine. And oina achrav alulka. Even without oina, it would work. If he says it's like answering on me. If he says halaluka, the guy who heard it is yoitz. Then makom shenogu lichpul yichpul. The communities where they repeated Hodul Hashem Ki Tov, Hodul Hashem Ki Tov, it's based on minig. Live short yishuv, those that just read it once. Now, those that have a minig to say a bracha by Hallel, levarch yevarch, hakol keminig hamedina.
What about saying it in your own language? I thought it can be said in its own language.
Well, that's not. There's other Mishnayos that we're going to deal in detail about Hallel. Right now, we didn't deal with this issue of what language you're going to say it. We'll see whether it can be done in a different language. But this issue of when we repeat at the end of Hallel, almost the whole Hallel is repeated, it has to do with minig. For example, the Hallel for Rosh Chodesh, the Sfardim have a minig not to say the bracha. We Ashkenazim say a bracha, so it's totally b'minig. The Gemara says, a son can read the brachos before his father. The father doesn't know. Eved in front of his master, and wife in front of her husband. But it's not a good thing. This type of birchas hamazon. And we're talking about, Rashi says, when the father ate only kazais or kabetza, which is, it's only midrabanan that you require it, because the son can be makra in front of him, because al chinuch, he has chiyuv chinuch, which is drabanan. Midaraisa, you're not b'chayev birchas hamazon until you're saveya, because it says achalta v'savata. So the rabbanon come to be moitzi the rabbanon. So only a child mishigil chinuch. That's when it says ben mevarch lo aviv, because he's chayim midrabanan for chinuch. Same thing by Nevet Knani, same thing by Nisha. They have rabbinic dinim, but not midoraisa. So if the father had eaten a shear midoraisa, it wouldn't work. Amar Rava hilchos givrisa ikla mashma minogad aleima. Many big halachos we learned from the minogim of Hallel. Who oimer halaluka ve'ein oimer halaluka? He says halaluka, and they answer halaluka mikan shemitzvah lanas halaluka. There's a mitzvah to respond with halalukas, like saying on me. Hu omer halu avdei Hashem v'hein omer halaluka. Mikan shemai gadol makra so onach halaluka. If a person is reading because he doesn't know how to read, by answering halaluka, it's like answering on me. Hu omer halu Hashem v'hu omer halu Hashem. Mikan shemitzvah lanis roshi haproki. It's a mitzvah to repeat these major phrases. The heads of these prokim, you should be repeated. And if a cotton, not a gadol, reads before him, he has to repeat exactly what the cotton said because the cotton can't be motzi. This shows us the din that if the minig is to repeat. They don't have to repeat Baruch Haba. Why? Just by hearing, they don't have to repeat it. Once they heard it, it's as if they said it. And in this vein, let's say he heard, he didn't answer anything. Amalu, the smart people in Darshanim all answered. You don't have to answer Amen. You don't have to say anything. If you hear, first make a bracha, you're Yotze, Shomea Voina, Shomea Koina. Where do we know that hearing is like answering? Dichsi. Es hadvarim asher kara Yoshio. That by Yoshio Melech, it says Es hadvarim asher kara Yoshio is called Divra Sefer asher kara Melech Yehuda. Now, this was where they found Sefer Torah that had been lost. They read it in front of the Melech. Chilki HaKohen read it. So what do you mean Yoshio read it? The Yoshio Kra, V'lo Shafan Kra, or Shafan read it. The Chsiv Vayikrev, Shafan is called Ma'elef Ne'amelech. Ela Mikal Shomea Koina. So this is a pasuk from Tanakh that proves Shomea Koina. Maybe after Shafan read it, maybe Yoshio read it. It says that Yoshio heard it, not that he read it. He shouldn't break up that pasuk. Because it's one pasuk. Without
Shomea Kohona, do you have, what about, does it talk about Kavana? Let's say you make a bracha to be a motzi, whoever wants the motzi. And then I'm just listening.
It needs Kavana. Mi she'eno yochel la'anos. Imiskaven libo b'shesika yotza sheshomea kohona.
Okay, yeah.
If the person who hears has Kavana to be motzi with that bracha, then he's motzi.
So Shomea Kohona, you have to have the Kavana to be Yotze.
The person who listens has to have the Kavana if he's quiet. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Okay, so we did today and tomorrow's block.